I need you to unlearn something. If you've ever toured colleges, there's probably been a moment where a tour guide told you the fun fact that the reason there aren't sorority houses on the campus are because of an old state law that if 5 women are in a house without a man, it's technically a brothel. And that tour guide lied to you. Probably about a lot of stuff, like how much fun you'd have, how great the education was, and how it would definitely be worth the money to go there. None of that was true either, but the 5 women thing was very not true. When I was shopping for colleges, I heard this from 2 different schools in 2 different states, and that made me a little suspicious, so I looked it up, and there are over 100 schools in the United States that claim this to be true. And yet, there has never been a law anywhere in the United States, ever, that has said this. There have been laws about maximum numbers of unrelated cohabitants, but they were always to prevent illegal boarding houses. They didn't designate anything a brothel, and they always specifically exempted Greek life. I get why people believe it. It does seem like something America would do. It's just in this case, we didn't. In America, legally speaking, what makes something a brothel is what happens inside the building. Of course it does, right? Like, even if you do a little bit of something, it doesn't make the building that business. Like, you can bake banana bread without your house becoming technically a bakery. There is one legal exception, though, and that is if 3 or more men live in a house without a woman there, it's technically a podcast. Let's do some more unlearning. Here are 3 more things that don't work. Number 1, blue blocker glasses. Stopping blue light from getting to your eyes does not reduce screen fatigue, it's just a way for you to buy more glasses. They were studied pretty thoroughly and don't show any improvements on eye strain or headaches. And that makes sense because the thing that causes eye strain is that you don't blink enough when you look at screens, and the thing that causes headaches is because inside that screen is your work email and nightmares. I can't fix the other stuff, but I can help with the blinking. Take a second right now, blink 3 times. You're welcome. Number 2, beef tallow. Probably the funniest health claim of the last 20 years is that switching the French fry grease at Steak and Shake from crushed seeds to boiled cow fat makes them a health food. We know that the seed oil panic is not true, but also we can trace its origins to one specific idiot, and we can learn about his other thoughts. He also believes that using toilet paper reduces your manliness. So anytime you hear about beef tallow, remember that the guy who told you it was better also has an itchy beehole right now. And I can't help with that problem, but I can help with this. Blink 3 times right now. You're welcome. And number 3, adaptogens. I've been seeing a lot more drinks recently with really lovely packaging and wild medical claims. These are all regulated as supplements, which means you can claim basically anything you want about them without any scientific testing, and also there's no way to know if they're putting the amount in there that they say they are. The most common claim is the impressively vague improves your mood. It probably does, and maybe that's because of the brain-boosting immortality herb, or maybe it's because you sat down and had a lovely soda and forgot about the nightmares. And if that's not enough, what always improves my mood is French fries. Go get them. They're health food now. And also, while you're at it, take a second, blink 3 times. It's time for some more unlearning. Body language is not actually a language. People who claim that they can interpret it range from your grandma telling you to sit up straight out of respect to high-paid consultants on TV shows reading politicians' micro-movements, but neither are scientific. And you already knew this because every body language guide is the dumbest thing you've ever seen. The steeple isn't a positive hand gesture, it makes you look like a cartoon villain. People love to tell you that crossing your arms is a closed-off negative stance, but it's not. My hands are heavy, and I built a little hammock for them. I'm actually way more open now that I've taken care of that heavy hand situation. The only thing I'm closing off is the chance that if it gets cold, you can see my nips. I guess fidgeting could mean that you're bored or you're avoiding giving an answer, but it could also mean you just had an espresso. And can you imagine if there was an other language where the same word meant I hate you and I just had coffee, and the best experts in the world couldn't tell the difference? Shaking your head no. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. That is pretty negative body language. Great insight. Hands on hips is a sign of aggressiveness and control. No, we're just back to needing some place to put my hands. All it is I have weighty sausage fingers. Or a sign that I'm a little teapot. What are you talking about? My favorite thing I've ever seen is that this guide says that positive words and phrases are signs of openness. Yeah, definitely, but that's not body language. That's normal mouth language. Experts watching presidential speeches on mute are not reading body language. They are doing, at best, arm astrology. There is no science behind it, but if you disagree, I'm open to hearing about it. Here's the thing about compostable containers. They probably aren't. Like, if you have the lid of a coffee cup or a weird fork, it may say that, but it's just what's theoretically possible. It's like if I got a tattoo that said physically desirable. Like, maybe in some circumstances with the right equipment, but for most people, no. There are 2 main problems. The first is that the label probably doesn't mean anything. There are a couple of states that have strict rules about what can be labeled compostable, and the rest of them don't. So you can just say things on packaging. It's like labeling something a professional model, or military grade, or gifted child. And even if the label is true in theory, that might not be true where you are. You can't put packaging and utensils in a compost pile. They only break down in industrial composting facilities, which use a much higher heat and a bunch of other equipment, and there aren't that many of them because they're very expensive and stinky. So every time a city proposes an industrial composter, a group of NIMBYs show up and do what they do best: try to keep the world from ever getting better. This map shows the few places that have industrial composting in the United States, but it gets much worse because most of these colored dots don't accept packaging. Only the dark green ones do. So you could go to all the trouble of sorting out your weird forks, putting them in a special bin, getting them on a special truck, driving them all the way to an industrial facility just for somebody to pull them out and throw them in the trash. So I would suggest that all those packages should have a more honest label. It says compostable in some very rare circumstances, also you are not physically desirable. It's time for some more unlearning. 3 things that people believe even though they've been thoroughly debunked. Number 1, Einstein didn't fail math. I think people like this myth because they want to be like, I'm not dumb, I'm a 1,000-year prodigy who just hasn't bloomed yet. But unfortunately, Albie was a math prodigy. At 13, he was teaching calculus. He did fail his first college entrance exam, but he aced the math part. He failed at language, zoology, and combing his hair probably. Oh, and he was only 16, so he just went away, learned a few words and animals, and came back and still got into college early. It's just not happening for you, I'm sorry. Also, the only pictures we ever see of him are him late in life with his carefully curated, disheveled genius look. So here is a picture of him as a young and dapper child. And here he is looking kind of handsome with his wife. I just think these are nice. Number 2, shaving does not make hair grow back thicker. This doesn't hold up to even the most basic scrutiny. If that was true, if you kept shaving, eventually you would just be one giant hair. Shaving cannot change your hair's thickness, color, or rate of growth, but what it can do is give it a slightly more defined edge so it might feel a little different, and also a long stick is more floppy than a short stick, so it's going to feel a little bit more firm. What I'm saying is thickness is an illusion, a sentence I've said a lot in my life. Number 3, people didn't used to live to just 30. Life expectancy is based on averages, which is a dumb way to do things because back in the day, the infant mortality rate was way higher than it is now. So if half of the people live into their 70s and half of them don't make it into their 1s, then you're going to end up with a life expectancy around 30. So 100 years ago, if you didn't get cut down like a thick follicle, you had a good chance of living long enough to realize you were never going to be a genius. I'm so sorry.